Back. I am very happy to be back. I'm sorry for the absences and let's be real, lower content videos. I've been moving and on vacation for the last 2 weeks, but as you can see, we're back and we're starting it off strong with a game called Sounds of Her Love. It's a free game on Steam. From what I understand, it's a visual novel, text-based game about a school in Japan where two students are falling in love. So, without further ado, let's get into this and let's start playing Sounds of Her Love. Please enter a character's name. Let's go with my real one. No, I'm just kidding. Matt. We'll do that. Why not? Something is ringing. Why won't it stop? My hand limply reaches out towards the noise, but I can't seem to locate it. Ugh, it must be around here somewhere. I sense something rigid at my fingertips. Suddenly, I hear a loud crash beside me. The ringing stops. Ugh! Oh, forcing myself upright, an intense light greets my eyes. Beside me stands a hazy figure. Oh, shoot, it went fast. Do you mind not making so much noise in the morning? Your sister is still asleep. As my eyes adjust towards the light, I see my mother standing behind me. I look downwards and see the table lying on the floor, my alarm clock just next to it, broken into pieces. I'm not cleaning that up. Just be ready for school and come downstairs. I made breakfast. My mother walks off. I don't think she's particularly happy. Well, I doubt many parents would be with their children creating such a ruckus. Still, it wasn't my fault. I was half asleep, for crying out loud. I pry myself away from the bed sheets and pick up the table and broken alarm clock off the floor. I check what the clock once read and conclude it's almost 7 a.m. Unfortunately, today's Monday, so it's back to school with me. Although it's cliche, I'm not really looking forward to it. It's not like I dislike it, but you'd think after transferring here, things would have been a lot more lively. So far, nothing out of the ordinary has happened. Though I can't really expect life to be like that. It isn't a manga after all. Opening my drawers, I pull out my uniform. It's still as good as new. I haven't had much time to wear it yet. I've only been here a week. For an international school, the uniform is quite generic. I was expecting something more prestigious. I guess this is still Japan, after all. Even though I've lived here all my life, my mother was dead set on sending me here. She's not a native, so at least she wanted me to connect with her side of the family. Despite her premise that getting in touch with my Anglican haired, whatever. Pretty sure that's the country north of England. I don't think there's much difference anyways. After finishing doing up my blazer, I hear a shout from downstairs. Son! Your breakfast will go cold at this rate. You may as well let me have yours if you're gonna waste it. Letting out a sigh, I close the door to my room and head to join my parents. Oh, downstairs. Reaching the dining room, my mother and father greet me with warm smiles. Maybe not so much my mother. I think she's still pretty pissed. My father gives an empty chair a hearty slap, still smiling all the way. Sit down, my son. We have a hefty breakfast your mother would approve of. Of course I would. I made it after all. In front of me sits a traditional English breakfast. Eggs, toast, beans, sausages, and the like. I don't think I can eat all of this. The empty chair is pulled out from beside me. I guess my sister finally woke up. When it comes to the morning, she's not very talkative, or noticeable to say the least. I'm sure she'll fire up later, though. Ah, yes, my beautiful family has gathered at last. My sister acknowledges my father with a quick glance and starts eating her breakfast in silence. Tell me, Matt, how are your studies? Was that hefty fee worth it? The school is private and teaches a foreign curriculum, so tuition fees are quite large. Luckily, my father can pay it, and it's only for my final year. It's going okay. The initial buzz wore off after the third day. I guess it's like a normal school. Not much different from the ones here in Japan. I did have an experience at a traditional Japanese high school, but due to our relocation to Tokyo, I had to transfer. If there was one noticeable comparison, it's the students. Most of them aren't natives, and a lot more are quite full of themselves. Even I'm only half Japanese. Really? That much for a normal school? What was the point of that fee, then? You want our son to have the best education possible, right? And that's closer to my side of the family. Reasonable. Tell me this, son. Have you at least been speaking to any girls, at least? Are you really asking him that? Both my parents engage in a stare-off. Things like this happen all the time. For them, it's only a bit of banter. Checking the clock on my wall, I realize I'm a bit behind schedule. I give my family a farewell and head towards the door. The clock is... I hear my say something just after I leave, even though she doesn't chase after me to tell me. It was strange to hear her at this time of day, but I guess I can't fret about it now. I continue on a journey I'm only just getting used to. The street leading to the school is particularly empty. Only a couple of locals are walking by, and the number of students is quite low. Checking my watch, I realized that I had left considerably early. I guess the clock at home was a bit slow. A faint noise distracts me from my wrist. Ahead of me is a female student, presumably from my school, picking up the contents of her bag off the floor. I guess she dropped it? I consider helping her, but by the time I move my feet towards her, she's already finished and continues onwards to the school. She rubs the back of her head, and her braids sway softly in the wind. Just as I pass where she was standing, I notice a small card on the floor. Instinctively, I pick it up. In my hands is a library card with what I assume is to bear her name. Swearden? Considering this is a Welsh school, I guess that's the origin of her name. I look up and she's nowhere in sight. Oh, crap. Quickly, I send myself off and run towards the entrance of the school. I just hope I can catch up to her. It doesn't take me long to get her in my sight. I call out to her. Swearden, you dropped this! Swearden turns around flustered, and I approach her with a ragged breath. Here, you go.
Thank you.
Oh, she talks. That's weird. I don't have to make her voice. She gives me a shy response as I hand her the card.
How did you...
Oh, she's
know
blushing.
my name?
Oh. It doesn't look like she's very comfortable with talking to me. It's on the card.
Oh. It's pronounced Carrie, like a K.
Sorry. My bad.
Don't worry.
You're gonna cut me off there. Carrie looks rather uneasy. I guess some people just aren't that fluent with others. Well, it's a good thing you got it back. We're both pretty early, so it would have taken a while for someone else to find it. By then, they probably would have given it to Lost and Found.
Thank you.
She thanks me again, and her eyes are averted slightly away from my direction.
This card is important to me.
Maybe put it in a safer place? You wouldn't risk losing it then. I don't have the right to tell her what to do with her stuff, but things like these are common sense.
I use it a lot. It's easier for me to reach it quickly.
Guess she's an avid book fan. She must be quite smart, or that she just likes book. I decided to continue the conversation. What sorts of books are you interested in? Or, I guess everyone needs a hobby. Since I'm apparently interested in continuing the conversation, we'll do that.
I read a variety.
Well, that was a short answer. I guess...
I want to study
Carrie,
literature.
you need to talk. Talk a little bit better. She looks at me as if she expects me to belittle her, although I completely deny her expectations. Sounds great. Good to have something you're passionate about. Her lips move. I guess she can't stop herself from smiling. Moving my feet away, I set off towards the entrance of the school, turning around to face Carrie before I make any sufficient process. It's still early, but we should still go to class. It's a bit cold after all.
You're right. I need to check what class I'm in.
She doesn't know what class she's in. School started a week ago. Don't tell me she has amnesia. Carrie shyly passes me and heads towards the school, and I follow suit. I guess she was a pretty interesting person. Oh, we're in class now. Classes are well underway, and the class is filled with a widespread sense of lethargy. It is a Monday morning, after all, and lunch is just around the corner. Does anyone really want to learn about the structure of the inner mitochondrial membrane right before lunch? I lean back in my chair and stare down at my notes, which are just a little more than scribbles on a sparse page. In the end, I can't really say I was expecting anything different when transferring here. After all, the basic principles of teaching are the same wherever you go. There's no reason as to why the school would be any different, though the extra language lessons are a pain in the ass. Just as I let out a small but definitely noticeable yawn, the teacher glares sharply in my direction. Bored, are you, Matt? No, sir. Oh, that's surprising. How about you get that answer on the bottom of the page 3, then? I looked at the closed book on my desk, and I realized what the teacher is referring to. I definitely haven't done a good job at pretending to work. Still, I oblige and turn to page 3. Moving my eyes towards the bottom of the page, I find a question that's somewhat relevant to what I managed to hear during the lesson. What's the space between the two mitochondrial membranes called? Is that the martix? No, that's the bit inside. Well, boy, do you have an answer? Oh. Mitochondrial gap, intermembrane space, or refuse to answer. Now, if I've learned anything from school, refusing to answer is accepting defeat. And we will not do that here, just like we won't do it in school. Mitochondrial gap, final answer. I honestly don't know the answer. The safest bet would be to call it the mitochondrial gap. I mean, it's the gap between the two of them, right? Surely that must be it. Is it the mitochondrial gap, sir? I hear a few sneers from the more superlicious members of the class, but most of them seem to ignore my answer. Guess I was wrong then. How about you pay more attention in class next time then, Matt? The teacher goes back to the diagram he was drawing on the chalkboard before this entire fuss started. Though, with technology nowadays, it seems pretty odd the school still is using chalkboards. I lean back in my chair again, this time remembering to do a better job at making myself look like a hardworking student, at least for this subject. Class quickly ends, and I quickly make it past the sudden rush to exit the room. The atmosphere in the corridor engulfs me as everyone makes a dash to the cafeteria. Oh boy, food time! Chatter radiates from the swathes of people in the cafeteria. I weave my way through the standing around, and then people walking in the opposite direction. The line is long, as always. Unlike most schools, the food here is actually quite good, so naturally, it's in high demand. I join the queue of students left famishing by the morning lessons. Time slows as the line slowly inches forward. All of this for a sandwich? I know, mate. They're lush, aren't they? Made with 100% Welsh beef. That's what they say anyway. I find it hard to believe they would import that stuff to Japan just for this one school. Eventually, I'm the one gazing at what's an offer on the counter. To be honest, that guy was quite right. The beef here sure is lush. It's quite a prestigious school. I buy the sandwich and stuff it into my bag. The place is quite packed, so I doubt I find a place to sit down. Just as I'm about to leave, I spot a table that's actually empty. Well, almost. I notice someone familiar eating by herself. Is that the girl from earlier? Carrie, wasn't it? I hardly know her, but I kind of want to sit down. It's cold outside, man. Approach her or leave her be? No, I like to think I'm a pretty sociable guy, so I'm gonna approach her. We'll do that. You know what? I may as well approach her. She's alone after all. I've been in that situation plenty of times this past week. I know how it feels. One step at a time, I make my way over to the table, her silky braids gently resting by her sides, and unlike before, her braids only move due to her actions. As I draw closer, she takes notice of my presence and directs her head towards me. She hesitates to speak, but I planned on taking the initiative from the beginning. Hey Siri, or Carrie, it's me from earlier. I don't think I got a chance to introduce myself. I'll try my best to avoid sounding nervous. Walking up to the girl sitting by herself is pretty noticeable to everyone else in the hall. My name is Matt.
Hello. Thanks for
Okay, hang on.
earlier.
This is what I'm gonna do. Okay. I changed the text volume, or the text speed, and I'm gonna slow it down some more. So that way I don't just have to, like, burn through some of these things, alright? Sorry for walking up to you so suddenly.
Don't worry. I don't normally have people to eat
Looks like
with,
her glasses are upside down.
so I'm glad.
Her eyes moved, in her mouth. She abruptly stopped speaking after giving me a sign of gratitude. Her cheeks turn a rosy shade of red. She directs her eyes away from me. I guess she's embarrassed. I did strike me as odd as to why she's alone. Aside from her lack of self-confidence, she seems like a fairly nice person.
I had an
Oh, you're
illness.
getting pretty speedy there. I just talked to you. She goes straight to why she's alone. I never asked her, but I'm glad she thinks of me close enough to explain it to me, even though we just met. Yeah, and, whew. Though, given that she seems so introverted, maybe I'm the only person that is.
For a while, I was immobilized. As recently as last week.
Oh, is that why she told me earlier that she needs to find out what class she's in? I would think so. Her face continues to grow deeper shades of red. Maybe I should converse with her to ease her explanation. Though, with her personality, I don't know if I'll actually help. I can understand, I guess. I'm new here, so I don't really have anyone to eat with. It's not really as relatable as an illness, though. I kind of regret opening my mouth. Hers, though, continues to move as her lips gently let out an unstable speech patterns.
I've been here since last year.
That's actually a pretty sad thought. If she's been here this long, how come she's still alone? Even with an illness, you'd expect her friends would still speak to her afterwards. Though I'm making assumptions, for all I know, she could be good friends with a classmate that just doesn't eat in school or is absent. My gut feeling goes with my former conclusion in spite of that idea. She delicately twirls the hair at the tip of her head, frayed nervously during the lag times of our conversation. She can't really think of anything to say, so I decided to do something instead. So, the music just stopped. But I tear a sheet of paper from my books and scribble out on my things. If you ever need anyone to keep you company, then you can just call me anytime. Or if you see me around school, just say hi. I'll doubt she'll do either. I downplay the forwardness of my actions. I think the cheesiest quote I can think of and continue speaking. Birds of a feather flock together.
You're giving me your number?
Though her voice is quiet, I can still sense she's a bit shaken up. I thought giving it to her would be acceptable in this day and age. People are practically dependent on their phones now. Still, giving your number to someone of the opposite sex will probably remain direct for years to come.
Thank you.
For some reason, she thanks me. Her pale fingers reach out towards her bag and she gently takes out a rather pink and cute-looking phone. I don't know why anyone still uses phone straps, but a daffodil charm swings in the air as she enters my number, her body shaking slightly all the while.
You're the first in the non-relative section.
Oh, that's sad. Finishing her sentence with a smile, she gazes at me. I smile back, of course, which in itself takes a bit of courage, but her eyes quickly dart away to break our staring, I guess. She goes red again. Her mouth is slightly ajar, leaving her lips to glisten as the sunlight enters from the windows beside us. Chimes of the bell resonate through the room. I guess it's time to get prepared to go to class again. Carrie stands, as shyly looking towards me as if expecting me to say something, which, luckily for her, I do. I enjoy speaking to her, even if she doesn't say much. Like I said, feel free to contact me anytime, though right now I guess we should be heading back to class. Oh, she's happy. Oh.
Okay.
She was happy. She trots along by my side, slightly behind me, probably to keep her blushing face hidden, I guess. She seems to have a habit of going red. We part ways when I reach my classroom, with her giving me a hardly audible farewell. The wooden chair behind my back is rigid and sticks into me, causing slight discomfort. My eyes dart across the pages before me, looking for any information that could make life easier. I hate homework. Words echo around the room as I speak solemnly to myself. I thought that it would be easier just to copy the answers from the textbook, but apparently they're not here. This heavy workload, however, does seem to compensate for the rather tranquil day at school. I did meet someone interesting, though. The blossom of rose on her cheeks, her silky golden hair, and her hushed voice. Carrie's presence would be minuscule to many, but I can't get her off my mind. Ah! Dinner's ready! Calls from my mother reach my ear just as I give up on my homework. It's not due for another week anyway, so I close the book haphazardly and toss it back on the shelf. The smell of cooking guides me towards the door. Just as I'm about to leave my room, something stops me. My cell phone chimes and vibrates slightly on my desk, leaving me to consider who might be calling. If you ever need someone to keep you company, then you can just call me anytime. Or if you see me around school, just say hi. That's right. I gave Carrie my number, didn't I? I really wasn't expecting her to call me, but I guess she was probably checking that I didn't give her a fake number as a joke. Are you coming? I'll be down in a minute! Probably not a minute, but it shouldn't be that long. I might just tell Carrie to call me back, but at least I can do is answer my phone. I pick up the device from my front desk and answer the call. Hello, Carrie?
Hello? I wanted to see if you'd answer.
Exactly what I was expecting. Carrie's voice seemed a lot clearer, and the nervousness I had once heard was pretty much gone. Is it because she isn't speaking to me in person? Of course I'd answer. I gave you my number after all, didn't I?
You did. Thank you.
You didn't think it was fake, did you? I teased her about it. To be honest, if she gave me her number, I would probably think it was fake too. That is, if she wasn't so timid anyways. If her personality was different, she would have probably been popular. Don't worry, I'm only teasing.
Oh.
Teasing a girl I just met seems pretty abnormal, but I can't deny her response was adorable. You seem fairly relaxed. I call her out on the contrast of her speech patterns. I already know the answer, but I just wanted to show her that she can speak to people clearly if she just tries.
I find it easier speaking to people over the phone. I'm sorry if it seems rude.
No, it's fine.
I call my father a lot.
She did say I was her first non-relative contact.
I really wanted to speak to you.
Her stutters flare up again. The concept of calling someone from school is still probably quite foreign to her. Your dinner will go cold at this rate! I get another shot from the dining room. By now my family has probably started eating without me. It's quite a traditional thing in this house for everyone to eat together. I'll have to tell Carrie to call me back. I'd like to speak to you too, but do you think you can call me back? Probably in about half an hour? Your dinner is ready and my... Oh, wait, that's me.
Oh,
I messed that up.
okay.
Carrie sounds a bit dejected about it, but there's nothing I can do. My mother is quite strict at times. She'll probably scold me for ignoring her if I don't go now. Carrie and I bid temporary farewells, and I'll head downstairs, leaving the phone on my desk. An aromatic smell hits my nostrils as I enter the dining room. 3 pairs of eyes are looking in my direction. It seems my family are well into their meal. Finally decided to join us, brother. My sister gives me a cheeky remark as I pull out the chair next to her and sit down and feast upon my now lukewarm meal. I'm too lazy to microwave it. How was school? You just went home about an early, didn't you? You knew about that? I didn't tell you the clock was broken before you left. Oh, so that's what she was trying to tell me. You can hardly call it before I left. I was at the door at that point. Well, the extra school is good for you, brother. Don't tell him about it next time. My father lets out an exuberant laugh as I continue eating. I don't think he realizes that no matter what time I get to school, classes don't start until they're scheduled to. In retrospect, I did get something out of going to school early today. I wouldn't have met Carrie otherwise. That reminds me, son. Have you met any fit girls? I asked you about at breakfast, and I didn't hear a response. That's because it was a stupid question. Interrupting my father, just as she did before, my mother joins the conversation. Perhaps I should actually give him an answer. He won't stop asking me otherwise. No, I have my computer for that sort of thing. No, I'm not gonna say that. I met some fit girl, so I'm gonna say not really, even though I did meet a girl. Don't worry, son. That face is the only answer I'll ever need. The look on it, your face, I know what it means. Go get her, son. My father gives me a thumbs up from across the dinner table. My mother bats him a scornful expression. He's not a pervert like you. You don't have to listen to him, Matt. A clean plate sits in front of me as I finish up the remains of my meal. I want to leave the room quickly so I don't have to face any more questions my father might conjure up. I stand up from the chair, moving to the sink to quickly wash my dish. The thought of Carrie lingers in my mind as I leave the room, make my way step by step. It's not unreasonable to suggest that I would end up in that sort of relationship with her. Dude, you met her today, homie. There's no signs of her having any friends aside from myself, and she is pretty attractive, to be honest. Letting my mind wander like this isn't good. It's too early to think about developing my relationship with her. We'd only just met this morning. You think? On the topic of Carrie, I need to phone her back in a minute. Waiting for her to call again isn't an efficient use of time. Swinging it open, door to my room creaks open. My eyes shift towards my desk and I reach out towards my phone. Clutching the phone in my hand, I redial the last number that called, and Carrie's number appears on the screen. Doesn't take long for her to pick up. I wonder if she was waiting for me. It was a pretty quick answer.
Hello?
Hey Siri, where are we?
We weren't really talking about anything.
That's right, we weren't really talking about anything in particular before. How about we talk for a bit then?
About what?
Carrie's stutter flares up again. It's kind of cute, but I wouldn't really tell her that. What am I saying? What about hobbies?
Hobbies?
Yeah, I know you like literature, but is there anything else you like? Carrie pauses for a brief moment, and the sound of her breathing flows out of the speaker beside my ear.
I like the harp.
The harp? You mean the instrument?
Yes, I can play it.
So she plays the harp. That reminds me. So it's like the school's logo then?
The harp is a classical Celtic instrument.
That must be it. I'm sure Wales is a Celtic country.
What about yours?
My what?
Your hobbies.
She wants to know about my hobbies. Well, I did ask her the question after all. The problem is, I can't really think of anything that I would consider a hobby. There's nothing.
Oh, would you like to borrow one of my books?
Sharing a hobby with her wouldn't be a bad thing. I guess I could give it a go. Sure, you can lend it to me when you like.
Okay.
Wow.
Will you meet me at lunch? So I can give it to you.
Yeah, that's fine. Thinking back on what my father had said before, I can definitely say that I like Carrie. Though, in what way, it's hard to tell. It's not unreasonable to say that there's a possibility she's kind of sweet after all. Though I don't know. I shouldn't really be thinking about it now.
Thank you. I promise you'll enjoy reading it.
I imagine Carrie pulling out a cute smile to match the enthusiasm she put into that statement. She must really have a passion for reading, beyond wanting to study literature. I'm looking forward to it. I hear a voice that isn't Carrie's coming from the other line. I guess it's someone must be calling her.
Sorry. My father's calling me for dinner.
Don't worry. I left for dinner earlier. You go and have yours. I'll see you at school tomorrow.
Okay. I'll see you then. Goodbye.
Bye. The line falls silent as Carrie hangs up, and I place the phone back down on my desk once again. For the first time in this past fortnight, I'm actually looking forward to school. Carrie and I have seemed to develop quite a good relationship within the course of a day. It's quite surprisingly, really. As I return to the seat by my desk, I peer at a sprawl of papers I had left lined before me. Oh right, I was doing homework. There's nothing else I can think of doing, so I reach up to the shelf where I had left my workbook and continue on with the task I was doing. If I get out of the way now, maybe I'll have more time later in the week to speak with Carrie again. A breeze rustles my coat as I approach the school gates. In contrast with yesterday, I'm actually here at the right time. The sounds and sights of other students fill my mind as I move swiftly to get to homeroom. The mornings this time of year are very cold, but I expect it to be warmer this far south. Dispelling the idle thought in my head, one thing is sure misleading: the presence of Carrie. I kind of walked to school with her yesterday, so I thought I'd see her again yesterday. Though I guess for her it wasn't a mistake that she came so early. She told me to meet her at lunch so she could get me booked, didn't she? That's something I could look forward to. My timetabled lessons don't look very promising, so give me something to think about till then. The half classroom is split between those enthralled to begin lessons and the apathetic slackers who are just wanting to get it over with. As I said, dust shimmers as sunlight enters through the windows. One by one, more students enter the class as the clock on the wall creeps towards 8 o'clock. My mind wanders through the thought of Carrie once more. Where am I supposed to be finding her when the lunch bell rings? The most reasonable place would be the cafeteria. That's where I found her yesterday. Or maybe not. I doubt she'd be comfortable giving me a present in front of a crowd of people, even if it is just a book. I lean back against the chair, as I typically would, and slowly watch the clock spin and spin as lessons go by, waiting for the lunch bell to arrive. Stretching my arms, I look up at the clock to check if the sound I just heard wasn't a hallucination. I can't speak. People are definitely getting up and leaving the classroom, likely heading towards the cafeteria. Some do stay behind. I guess various Japanese high school customs still stick, even in a foreign school. The curriculum may be different, but the attitude of the students certainly isn't. Standing up, I trail behind everyone else to leave the room. Looks like I'm the last person to leave. The corridor isn't the only thing that greets me as I step outside. Carrie? Oh.
Here you go. I promised to give it to you.
Before me stands Carrie, basking in the sunlight. A book is held out in her hands, practically shoved into my chest. Her face is red for the apt situation. I'm pretty sure mine is too. The blossom of embarrassment on her cheeks is cute sight. She seems to be reluctant in making eye contact, though. It's only better for me as I look at the glint of my own reflection in her amber eyes. Thanks. The book itself is fairly worn. Judging by the condition of the pages, she might have read this quite a few times. I'm only borrowing it, so she probably wants to read it again in the future.
You're welcome. It's one of my favorites, so I hope you enjoy it.
She lightly exclaims that fact, and I take the book from her. The title is embossed on the cover, as opposed to the fancy design sleeve. It must be a fairly old print. Despite its blemishes, she seems to have broken it in. Once again, I look at Carrie's cute profile, and she still holds a blush. Her breath is ragged with nervousness. I watch her chest move inwards and out. Yeah, sure, you're watching her breath. How about we go get some lunch then? We can't keep standing around here. I slip the book into my bag carefully and invite Carrie to join me for lunch.
Sure. I'd
She
love
looks so
to.
happy. Carrie slightly jitters as we both head down the corridor towards the cafeteria. I spend my second lunch break with her. No doubt I can get used to this, though I feel as though I already am. Noise resonates through the walls of my room as I hear my sister blasting some foreign pop music, all while speaking to her friend on the phone. I wouldn't go there and tell her to quiet down, but I'm too lazy to do so. Me too. After enjoying a nice lunch break with Carrie, despite neither of us really saying anything, the remaining classes were a bit dull and uninteresting. The only thing that really kept me going was the thought of Carrie, as dodgy as that sounds. I look to the right beside me sits the book Carrie had given me earlier. Reading it now would give me something to do, but I don't think I could make it that far into it. It's quite late and I still have some work left to do, though I'm reminded of Carrie's flustered face as she presented it to me. It really meant a lot to her. Giving it a read couldn't hurt, could it? Read the book, skim through it, or don't read it? I'm gonna read it. Or at least I'm gonna read a little bit of it. We're gonna find out how much I read, because, well, she gave it to me, so I think I should read it anyways. The book is fairly thin, and though I'll still take it till me and tomorrow night at the earliest to finish it, that's if I can read it fast enough. Though, if grasping the book, I didn't even read that. Grasping the book, I open the cover and begin reading it. Page by page, the theme of it is quite apparent, even before I can end. It's a love story. The book suits Carrie pretty well. It would have been weird if the book was a sci-fi novel or something absurd, like a guide on dog grooming. Does she even have a dog? I wouldn't know. Soon enough, I find myself at the end of the second chapter. So far, it's been fairly interesting. Definitely something different than what I was expecting from a love story. I should probably make a few mental notes of what I've read so far, just to give us something to talk about. She really doesn't converse that much. I want her to talk with her more. I set the book down beside me where it once sat. My body twists as I slip out the space between the chair and my desk. For once, I should probably get to dinner early. The path to school has now become quite familiar, now that I've had 2 weeks to remember it. A mild gust blows leaves across the pavement, and I watch them get tousled around without direction. Just as I stand in the street, I feel a dainty tap on my shoulder. Looking to my side, the person I've been wanting to see most recently stands before my eye, a sight to behold.
Good morning.
Carrie greets me, her lips curling up slightly into a delicate smile. Good morning, Carrie. As the light turns green, we both rock harmoniously across. It's not really a surprise for me to meet Carrie here. I'm pretty sure she did share the part of the walk to school with me. This is where I first met her, after all. So how are you today, Carrie? I throw the question out, trying to try and make conversation. I enjoy being with her, but getting to speak with her would make the experience a lot better.
I'm good. Thank you. What about you?
I'm good as well. Carrie smiles at my answer. I guess knowing that your friends are in a good spirit is a happy thought. As I take occasional glances to my side, I seem to notice Carrie shyly looking in my direction from time to time as well. She turns her head whenever I spot her. Does she want to ask me something? Anything on your mind? It seems I've caught her off guard.
I wanted to know. Can I walk to school with you more often?
She wants to walk to school with me. That question seems pretty bold for her, but I oblige. Sure thing. Carrie smiles and nods her head cheerfully. I can't deny wanting to walk with her to school. I look at my watch, check the time. It's almost 7:45. Shall we meet where we met today then? At 7:35?
That's good with me.
It's settled then. From today onwards, I'll be meeting and walking with a girl on the way to school. It's not something I was expecting to happen, but I can't complain. In fact, I'm happy. We pass through the school gates towards the main building, both of us stopping to part ways. See you later then, Carrie. Lunch, right?
Sure. Lunch it is.
She seems so happy. I head down the path towards my class with plans for the day pretty much settled. The lunch bell stops ringing just as I make my way out of the classroom. Our teacher lets us out early. I'm pretty sure she's enthusiastic about the lessons as we are. I move through the corridor and unsurprisingly find someone waiting for me.
Hello.
Hey Carrie, shall we meet going to the cafeteria then?
Can we stop by the library first? I need to return a book.
She wants to go to the library. I'm not against it. I wasn't really that hungry anyways. Yeah, sure. Speaking of books, I started reading that book you gave me last night. I've really been liking it so far.
That's good.
Carrie smiles and turns her head in my direction.
Would you like to go to the library with me?
She sounds anxious, even more so than normal. I thought we'd already gone to the library.
Not this one. The one in the city.
She wants to go to the city with me. Sure. I can't keep myself from studying. Moments ago, Carrie just invited me out to the city. That's quite a direct thing to be asking of someone she's only been friends with for mere days. Carrie holds a deep blush on her cheeks, and I too can't keep myself from getting a bit tense.
Thank you.
We walk down the corridor in unison, our only footsteps audible as we keep the state of silence between us. Stepping through the door of my house, I'm greeted by a sense of warmth, both physical and a metaphorical sense. The heater is turned up pretty high, but my mother had seen me entering and she greets me. "How was school, son?" "It was good, I guess." It wasn't just good, I know, for a fact that it was good. I've practically bagged a date with Carrie in a sense, though I don't want to think she sees it that way. I've only known her for 2 days, so there's no point in getting giddy about it. "That's great to hear." My mother wanders off and continues up the stairs to carry on with whatever she was doing. I take off my shoes and stroll into the lounge with a slump. The one thing about school is that it's pretty tiring. Ahead of me, my father is lying back in his chair reading a book. He lifts his head and peers towards me, giving a prodigious grin. "Hello, my boy. Seems like you've had a pleasant day at school. Am I right? That smile on your face tells me everything, you know." No doubt he spotted my upbeat aura. It's not as if I was trying to hide it. "You could say I had a nice day." "Tell me, son. I need to know." He sets his book down on the floor beside him and sits forward to engage himself in our conversation. "Oh, it's nothing. I'm just gonna go somewhere with a friend on the weekend." I say the weekend, but Carrie never gave me a date onto when she wanted to go. I'll just have to ask her. "A friend? What sort of friend? Is it a girl?" Straight onto it. Girl as always. I can't say that I've never considered the topic before. Carrie, of course, is a girl. Rather nice one, too. Though I don't know whether telling my father would be the most ingenious of ideas. He'll keep asking questions till he gets to see her. That's what I would expect him to do anyways. It's a guy, it's a girl. Let's not die to Dad. It's a girl, but it's just a friend. It's just a friend, Dad. Dad, it's just a friend. I promise. It's a girl. A girl? Well, congratulations, my boy. I was waiting for the day you would start dating girls. It's not a date. It's just a day out. I'm not really sure what it is. She told me that she wants me to go to the library with her, but surely she must just be planning on something more than that. It still counts, boy. I hope you make the most of it. His words only partially make it into my head. He's always been like this. I take another look at him and realize he's reading a book. He's a publisher after all, so I guess it's his job to check over the things presented to him. The print on the book's cover looks familiar. I notice the author's name and realize what the connection is. That's the same author as... Same author as what, boy? The book Carrie gave to me. Going by the condition of the book she gave me, she must really like his work. That girl I'm meeting on the weekend, she really likes the author's work. I don't really know what the best way to put it, and I don't think telling my father will really achieve anything, so I should have just kept it to myself. Why didn't you tell me, son? I'm good friends with this guy. He always makes me read his books before I sell them. I don't even like romance. Carrie does, though, and maybe after getting her copy might be getting an idea. She gave me a gift after all, even if I only lent it. I may as well return the favor. Would it be okay if I lent a copy? Lend one? Just take the whole pile. You gave me too many copies of the damn thing. Instead, I only take one from the top of the pile. My father always has a way of making things absurd. Good thinking, boy. I'm sure she'll enjoy it. It's always best to get on their good side. For once, I agree with him. Giving her a gift wouldn't be a bad idea, no matter the reason behind it. So, alright, thanks, Dad. Don't thank me. Thank the guy who thinks it's funny to deliver me a ton of books every 2 months. So, I'm going to save here because I'm 45 minutes into it, and I didn't get any water before that because I'm stupid. So, my voice is my throat's pretty raw. I'm not sure if it's been picking up in the mic, but we're going to save it here. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you join me again next time. See you then.